Dear ones, I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. For those listening to this, it's difficult to describe where we are. We're on Rapa Nui, and this is the second channeling. It's out in a place where they used to live, a place of protection from the elements where the families grew. Earlier in the day, we met the first Moai, and this is partly what I wish to speak of. I'm going to ask you again, why have you come? This is not your culture. You look upon things you've never seen before. You think you're looking at a certain kind of history. Do you come as a tourist, gathering facts and interesting things and photos as you go? Or could you be looking at more? As you walk the island, could there be more? Is it too small for you to relate to it in the heart? Is the energy familiar? Now, we have told you the history in the past of Lemuria. We have told you that the Lemurians took the currents and came to the islands now called Polynesia. They came here. This was founded by Lemurians. And this is the history of the indigenous as they tell it. There is more. How many of you looked at the sky last night, really looked at it? I will say to you for this recording, and for those not here, that to most humanity, they never see this. Like a carpet of lights in the sky. This becomes part of the lineage, of the traditions, of the stories. And it did here as well. Now there is much to discuss, to suggest, and we have to honor the ancestors as we do it. We sit in their land, and the energy of the ancestors is upon us now. I'm going to suggest to you that you may not know the ancestors I speak of. You hear what you hear. History may be different than you think. Modern historians only know what they think they know. We have given you history in the past which is different what the historians tell you. We have told you that there are 3 or 4 layers of human civilization that are not even known to you at this point. You have discovered in the Indus Valley the writings of those who would be 10,000 years old. And this is as far back as you go. What if I told you it went back 3 or 4 times that? Civilizations are lost, and some of them restart themselves. I want permission from the ancestors to make a suggestion. That is what has happened here as well. That the traditions you follow, Rapa Nui, are only in what I will call the 3rd civilization of the island. There is a great message here, that Rapa Nui may be far grander than you think, more ancient than you have realized. And there are mysteries, perhaps that you have not even discovered. You have yet to have the funding for archaeological digs in places that you did not think about digging before. There are more Moais, and they are far, far older than the ones you see. This will only be proven with time. And when they are discovered, you will scratch your heads and say, where did they come from? It makes it far bigger, does it not, your history? What if Rapa Nui is far older than you think? What if your ancestors go back very, very far? I want to make another suggestion. Permission from the ancestors to say it. There are many meanings to the 7 statues that face the west. There are the meanings to the Polynesian. But let us look for a moment at the meanings of most of the indigenous on the planet. The ancestors of the ancestors, all over the world, honored the directions of the planet. Based upon the stars and the sun, they honored the north and the east, the west and the south. And the meanings of these were specific to many. But there was one direction that meant something to most of them that was the same. When you faced the west, you faced the place where the sun went down. The metaphor was always the ending of things, the ending of each day, and often the ending of life. I have permission from the ancestors to make a suggestion. The 7 are looking at something a little different than you think, even grander than you think. With their curved eyes, they track life itself. It is not a straight line. which curves around and begins again, and they are gazing at the afterlife with their eyes wide open. It is the honoring of death itself, not an ending but a beginning. And this would be another suggestion as to why they would face the West. I will tell you something. There were 3 civilizations here, and you only know of one. How does that make you feel about this island? The ancestors of your ancestors rejoice in this knowledge. The Rapa Nui are truly ancients. There is more, and we wish to broach a question that has not been answered. And later we'll make another suggestion.
Yeah.
Let me plant a seed.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that the Moai all have the same face? They do not represent the face of the chiefs that they or the families that are imbued into them. Whose face is it? I'll tell you something else. Someday, when you excavate, you find a slightly different kind of Moai, much older. It will have the same face. I'm going to tell you about that face. Make a suggestion of how it became what it is. We'll do it later in the week. These are the true mysteries of Rapa Nui. The similarity of things, generation after generation.
Yes.
The biggest mystery is not how they moved stones. Not that difficult, and we'll discuss that if you choose. The mystery is in the energy. When Lemurians left that which was their mountain called Lemuria, during the time of the sinking and the breakup, populated the Pacific. Many of them came here. Remember, the Lemurians celebrated the constellation called the Seven Sisters. For those of you here with me, you can see it in the sky tonight. 7 sisters. Just a suggestion about why there are 7. I have permission to give you these things, possibilities of even grander things than you've been told. There is much here. Now I close with this. Perhaps as you walk this island, I'm going to ask you, is it possible you were part of one of the generations here? One of the civilizations, perhaps one that they don't even know they had. When they excavate things they cannot describe as belonging to the history that they know, is there a possibility that you might recognize them? I plant these ideas with you because we teach about synchronicity. What brings you here? The most isolated and populated island in the world. Discovered and populated by the Lemurians, blessed by the Pleiadians. What's your part in this? How many of you believe you are old souls? What really draws you to this place? Perhaps it's time to ask your own Akash. In your past, could you ever call yourselves Rapa Nui? Some of you called yourselves Lemurians, so why not? Do you recognize the dirt? What about the mana? This is the question. It will start your adventure tomorrow. And so it is.